There was a time when someone would say that to me and I would just kind of roll my eyes and think, yeah, whatever. Creativity. Who has time for that? Or, well, I'm not creative. I don't have that in me. And then when I started really opening myself up to that, it's funny how you turn on the faucet a little bit and over time it starts to drip more and more and more, and you start to see things come out of yourself that you never thought were there. Hey, my name is Steph Simmons, and I'm completely obsessed with living in a culture of freedom and helping you maneuver your way through the chaos to the calm. As a small city mom of 6, I took my life into my own hands, quit my job, and went all in on my side hustle, creating the freedom to not only make my own schedule, but to make time for the people and things that matter most in life. Working from home, I now have an online business teaching others how to realize their passions, map out their goals in business and in life, and make those goals their new reality. I'm just over here telling it exactly like it is as we dive in on topics like burnout, balancing it all, finding joy, and dreaming up those crazy cool next chapters of your life. Business, mindset, breaking barriers, and showing up for yourself and the people you care about are all things we talk about here. Ready to become the curator of your best life? Lean in, take a listen, and let me challenge you and cheer you on to creating a life you absolutely love. This is the Freedom Culture Podcast. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Freedom Culture Podcast. My name is Stephanie Simmons, and I am your host, and so excited to be here talking to you all about having the confidence to create and creating the confidence that you need to have in your life to do the things that you really want to do. And that's what this episode is all about. So I remember, obviously, I wasn't always an entrepreneur. I definitely didn't always think like one either. So I wanted to share with you a little bit of a story about when I first discovered that entrepreneurship was a possibility for someone like me. When I was in high school, I remember only seeing people who wanted to be an entrepreneur that had a family business. I never really considered that an option. I definitely didn't have any ideas as to what I would do. Didn't think that I had some kind of special skill that I could make a business with. So it wasn't until I was 30 when I actually met my first mentor, and he really introduced me to an entirely different mindset and a different world. And that was creating your own economy with a business. And he really drilled down on concepts like thinking for yourself and being responsible for all of your choices in your life and where you are at this point. And I had just honestly never really been exposed to someone who talked like he did, but also who really embodied it in everything that they do. So yes, there were certain guidelines that he had to stay within, and we all do wherever we live. You know, there's rules and laws and regulations and all of these things, but inside of that, we do still have the ability to create. And I think we too often are focused on the limitations versus really looking at the possibilities of what we can actually create within that. So this episode really is more of it's kind of a push, I would say, as maybe they all are, I don't know. But it is a little bit of a push in the sense of, do you and have you had the confidence in your life to really create the life and work that you want to be doing? And I know I always ask questions like this, but it really is to get you thinking about the possibilities of life and what we are able to create for ourselves. And do we really have the confidence to do those things? So I talk to people all the time. We just recently had this conversation actually with someone about imposter syndrome, and that wasn't even a word when I was starting entrepreneurship. There wasn't a name for that. You can learn to be comfortable with what it is that your kind of genius zone, and how to get that out into the world. And people do want to listen to you. They do want to hear what you have to say. And they do want to see it from your perspective. So even in starting this podcast, I was definitely hesitant. I mean, it was something I really wanted to do because I really thought that I could use my voice to help other people. And if I wasn't brave and just continued to think small and think that I couldn't do it or let fear take over, I definitely wouldn't even be here doing this. And I think that would have been a mistake on my part. I think that I do have something to share, and whether or not everybody get something out of it. I mean, it's really impossible for everyone to get something out of it, but the people who are meant to hear this will hear it. And I just have to stand in that confidence knowing that. So I think it takes a little bit of bravery on our parts to really start something. And it's funny, I was just thinking of a quote to put in my newsletter today. So if you haven't joined our newsletter, it's called Freedom Fridays, and it's Friday right now, and I'm recording this episode that will go out tomorrow. But I was thinking of a quote that kind of involved confidence and creativity and all of that together. And then I ended up I couldn't find a quote that embodied all the parts that I wanted, so I decided to create one of my own. So I'm just going to read it for you. When our bravery ignites our creativity, the light within us projects our confidence onto the canvas of our lives. And that is what I came up with to help inspire people today when they're reading our newsletter. And if you haven't joined our newsletter, you can go to @stephsimmons.co on Instagram and just send me a DM with the word Friday, and we'll get you right in. That'll just automatically come up in your chat, and you can join the newsletter. I'd love to have you there. But it was designed to inspire, and that's one of the parts of the newsletter is a shot of inspiration every week. I try to give people something to walk away with that's going to make them feel good and give them sort of a little boost. But I really do think that we do have to be brave in order to ignite that creativity within us. And it's in everyone. I used to believe for so long that I wasn't creative. I would have said something silly like, I don't have a creative bone in my body. And I don't think that's true for anyone anymore. If I can be creative, I was like what I would have considered to be the least creative person I know. I mean, I didn't have any natural talents like painting or drawing. None of that stuff ever came easy to me. Perhaps I could create in my imagination, and that is super powerful. I think oftentimes that's one of the skills that we lose in childhood is the ability to create something in our minds and to create this alternate world. You know, when you have that playmate that's invisible and that kind of thinking, that is really creativity at its best form, is being able to create something that doesn't exist. And I think that's really powerful, and we definitely should try to hang on to that as long as possible. And if we've lost it, it's not that we can't get it back. We just need to get back to dreaming and daydreaming like we did when we were kids. And it's okay. And yes, maybe we even still have the teacher or the boss that's telling us to, quit, get your head out of the clouds and focus. But let's find some time where we can do that and give ourselves permission to do that, because it's really important. So when that bravery does ignite our creativity, the light within us does project that confidence onto the canvas of our lives. So what does that even really mean? Well, the light within us that's meant for us to shine on the world. What is that? What is that for you? I know it's different for everyone. And it's taking me a long, long time to really realize what that is for me. And it's still, changing all of the time. And I think that's exactly as it should be. It doesn't mean that, my focus has shifted. I'm always still wanting to share what it is inside of me that I think is meant to be shared with the world. And right now, I think that is my energy, and being able to share my energy for entrepreneurship, my energy for helping other people discover what it is that they really want to be doing. I mean, I talk to people all the time, and it's always at top of mind for me to try to pull out of them, like, is what you're doing really where you want to be? And if so, that's amazing. And I love hearing their story of how they discovered it, and that passion and the purpose and all of that. And it's funny because some people just roll their eyes at that, like, I don't know what I'm passionate about. Sometimes we just get lost in the hamster wheel of life, and we sort of lose sight of those things that really once used to light us up, or maybe still do, or maybe it's something different. But really being aware of that and being open to the possibilities of those things still being a part of us, and us being able to nurture those creative impulses that we often have, and that we're just so used to shutting down. And sometimes that's the case, right? We're just so used to putting it aside because we're busy, or we're doing things for other people, or maybe we're moms and we, sometimes what we want isn't always at the forefront because we've given of ourselves to raise our kids. I think it is so important to make that time for us to still be able to live in that place where our creativity can come to the surface, and we can nurture that and see what comes out of it. I think that's really exciting. So this whole concept, the confidence to create, come about because I started creating a brand new course. So it is going live. By the time you hear this, like the opportunity to get into it is still there. But really the purpose behind it is to help build up the confidence to be able to create a business. And a lot of this podcast is about business, but I want you to think of this in two ways while I'm talking. It's not just about business, although I am going to talk a lot about that, but the business of your life. So we're talking about creating a business. It's also just can be the same concept of creating the life that you want. So whether you're a business owner or not is irrelevant. You can still take the same concept and apply it to your life in a sense of you are the creator of it. Everything that you think and say or do is created by you. Now, if we let people influence that creative process, we can say that that person made me do that. But when you really look at the root of it, it's not really true. It's never true. No one can make you do something. Of course, I mean, they're holding a gun to your head or something. Okay, then you can say they made me do it. But in all other instances, we are allowing that. It's a choice too. We're allowing whatever they've said or, their opinion to guide us. And that's a choice. And we don't have to allow that. You can. If you have great people around you and they're providing you with great feedback and you think that it's positive, and that's fine. But if it's the opposite, do we really need to allow that? Do we really need to make the choice to listen and to let that influence our decision? That is our choice. So make a good one. And I think that oftentimes we are far more powerful and have the ability to really decide for ourselves what it is that we want. And I think that we need to be more comfortable making that decision first before we even ask anyone else, is to know what it is that we really want to do in each situation and decide for ourselves and really start to become more comfortable with making those decisions with very little outside influence, because we're relying then on our own intuition, on our own instincts, and how we feel in our body. And that is probably the most important awareness. Your body tells you a lot of things. It tells you when you're sick. It tells you when you're tired. It tells you when something lights you up and you perk up and your back straightens. And right now in this moment, I'm actually doing those things as I'm saying this. I'm standing up taller. I'm smiling. And when we become more aware of what is lighting us up like that, and we're really in the moment, we learn really quickly that that feels great. It feels good, and we want more of that. So how can I put more of those things in my life today? And that alone can help us to build up the confidence to keep doing that over and over again. And before you know it, every day is filled with things that you enjoy. Every day is filled with moments that make you smile. And is that going to be true every day? Of course not. Is my life perfect? Definitely not. There's definitely things that I don't enjoy, and there's always going to be that though. But I think I'm just more at peace with it than I used to be. I've accepted that part of life is going through some things that aren't always easy, and that's okay. It's okay for it not to be always easy, but I'm definitely not staying in that mindset. Boy, I say definitely a lot, don't I? Definitely, and definitely not this. I'm laughing at myself there. I'm going to have to go back and see if I can edit out some of those definitelys, but I don't think I can. So I think that just, really being aware of how you're feeling especially, I think is probably one of the most important things, because our feelings in our body can tell us a whole lot of things that our mind hasn't caught up to yet. So definitely an important one. There we go again. I found my word. So when we're thinking about those passions of ours, our hobbies or interests, we can really start to look at those. Are any of those things that we would consider incorporating into our lives now at this stage? Is it something that we used to like to do that we can find again? Maybe they have lessons somewhere. Maybe there's a group that meets that can help us stay in that creative part of ourselves and really bring that into our lives more often. And I think because of that missing piece, we lose a little bit of confidence, because that's the missing piece of something that we're good at doing, or we could become greater at doing with practice and allowing ourselves to practice and really kind of master that thing and allow us to draw confidence from that. So one of the things I'm practicing, of course, is speaking. I really want to become a really great speaker. So this podcast, of course, is nothing but practice for me all the time. Now, there's no one looking at me right now. It's just audio. But I am going to be in the future, I'm going to record myself on video doing this once I reach the point where I think, okay, I've kind of mastered the audio part. Now let's see if I can add video and still stay in this and still hold my passion for this and like it just as much. So it's just one example, but remember that just because you don't see how right now to incorporate one of those hobbies or passions, when you start to put energy toward and say, if you make a decision to do something, your environment, the universe will find a way for you to do that. I really do believe that. If you don't believe that, then I could probably give you some suggested reading to help open up your mind to that possibility. But it is very interesting that the things that we focus on, our energy on making happen, do tend to come to fruition. So, think about your skills and your knowledge, and think about if you've ever been able to help someone else to make some kind of positive change in their life or to learn something new. Sometimes those things in itself help you to see that there is a way for you to create something of your own, whether it is a business out of that or not. It could just be that you really enjoy helping people do that, and maybe that's a volunteer opportunity for you to have that confidence and that joy side of your life. And then I guess the last little point would be have you noticed that there's something that might be missing from your current market or your city? So if you are a business owner and you're thinking of adding something new to your business, is there sort of a gap in the market that you can fill that might be something that's very rewarding for you? And if you haven't thought of a business idea yet and you're kind of in that creation mindset where you want to do something but you haven't quite got there yet, do a little research and maybe do a little traveling around where you currently are located. Go an hour radius all around you and just see what's out there. Sometimes we learn from our environment better than we can just sitting in one place and trying to figure it out there. And once you open up your mind to the possibility of starting something new, ideas tend to flow in like they never have before. And when you're looking for that, you definitely are going to find it. So when you're out in the world looking at it from a different point of view and seeing that there is business happening all around you, it can force you to have a little bit of a different outlook. So that all can help to build up your confidence and allow you to start to really create more in your life, whether that is the hobby, whether that is, hey, I used to paint, I think I'm going to get out some brushes, or, buy a new kit and start to paint again and see if I really still love it. But when it comes to the business side, if you're thinking, okay, I really do want to start a business, maybe you even have an idea and you're just not sure on the how part, I would still encourage you to focus on the what, not the how. So what is it that you want, and get really clear on how you can help someone else. I really do believe that the best businesses are all about helping people. And for the majority, obviously services and products can all help people in some way. They can help them solve a problem. They can help them create something new in their own lives. It can help them to also access their creativity. So maybe you're actually thinking, I really love painting. Maybe I could actually teach painting. It's just an example. I'm definitely not a painter myself. I would love to actually develop that a little bit and learn. That would be something fun, I think. But maybe that's something that, you could offer lessons and you could help someone to access their creative zone. Another way to look at that would be to sort of ask yourself, if I've ever been able to help someone else to make a change in their life, how could I help more people do the same thing? So maybe sometimes people rely on you for advice. There's a reason people ask you for advice. There's a reason why people ask for your opinion on certain subjects or certain things. They have identified something in you that maybe you haven't really noticed in yourself. So sometimes it can be valuable to ask people around us, is there anything that you think I do really well? If we aren't able to see that for ourselves, I would encourage you to really maybe start to journal on these things yourself so that you can identify those things. Because even though someone else may say we do it really well, we definitely then don't want to be doing it just because they said we do it well, so we should create something with that. You do want to identify that for yourself, but also it be something that you do enjoy and that it be something that you want to have come to life for you. So I hope that makes sense. I didn't want to drone on a little bit too much about that, but I would love to hear any ideas that you have. I'm always open to you guys sharing your input with me. You can reach out to me on Instagram. You can always find me there and connect with me. There's lots of ways to connect with me if you check out my links on Instagram as well. If you're not on Instagram, you can go to stephsimmons.co and you can connect with me there too. There's a form where you can send me your ideas. I'd love to hear about them. You can also book a discovery call with me. Hopefully when you're listening to this podcast, I still have the free discovery call available. Things change in time, so who knows, but you can book that with me at stephsimmons.co as well. I'd love to hear your idea. It's about a 15-minute call where you can just chat with me and I can listen to your idea and I can give you feedback if you want it, or I can provide a source of encouragement for you. If you don't have that anywhere, I would encourage you to do that because it's really important, especially if you're thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, to surround yourself with people who have similar thoughts, who have similar experiences in getting started as an entrepreneur. I think it's really important to have access to that. So if you don't currently have that in your immediate circle, you can start to look for opportunities to network with other entrepreneurs and find your people that can support you through the journey. It is really, really important. Since I became an entrepreneur, I have met so many amazing other entrepreneurs, really strong females as well, which I have surrounded myself with, who look at life very similarly to me. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. I mean, we all have our own ideas and our own wants and needs, and that's wonderful. But we do share in the fact that we want to create our own economy and in our business. So it's really important to surround yourself with those things. And I think that we tend to put these things off because they seem foreign or unknown or difficult, but they really aren't. And I really would encourage you to just start. Is it going to be hard? Well, it's kind of up to you. I don't like to say that it's going to be hard. It is and it isn't. You know, there are some things that are going to come very easily because that's your natural gifts. And if you feel in this moment when I say that you don't have natural gifts, I definitely am going to argue with you. There's something in you. And if you need help pulling that out, let me know. Like, join the course, get on a discovery call. I also do have consultations still up right now. Grab something, connect with me some way, because I want to help you to discover what that is. That is my passion. I love helping people discover what it is that they're great at, what it is they really deep down want to be doing. So if you're having a hard time connecting with that, then connect with me. I'd love to help you with that. And today is the day. So there's 7 days in a week, and some day is not one of them. It never has been. Some day is not a day of the week. So some day is not a plan. Some day is not a goal. Goals are things that we've actually assigned a timeline to, right? So if you say, well, my goal is to do this, if you have not actually put that down on paper and written some kind of timeline, or you don't need to know exactly how you're going to achieve the goal, but you do need to write it down. You do need to be able to work towards that. So I want to see you working towards that confidence and that creativity and being able to create the life that it is that you want. So even in your current work, you know, if you like your job or love your job and you're content with that, but maybe in your personal life you're thinking, I need to jazz things up a bit and I want to enjoy my time away from work a little bit more, then I would tap into that creativity that you have inside of you. There was a time when someone would say that to me and I would just kind of roll my eyes and think, yeah, whatever. Creativity. Who has time for that? Or, well, I'm not creative. I don't have that in me. And then when I started really opening myself up to that, it's funny how you turn on the faucet a little bit and over time it starts to drip more and more and more, and you start to see things come out of yourself that you never thought were there. And it's really an amazing experience. So there are also creatives out there in this world that can also help you do that. So when you join a creative environment, it can spark things in you that you might not have thought were there. So I just want to encourage you in this episode to find the confidence and the bravery to create the life that you want, to create the moments that you want in your life, and to create that joy, create that happiness. It's up to you, no one else. Happiness is not a destination. It is not somewhere we're eventually going to get to go. We need to find our ways to be happy right now in this moment in our lives with who we are, with who surrounds us. And if you've identified things that do not allow you to stay in your happiness, then those are identifiers that we need to make some changes. And I think we all have things in our lives that don't necessarily make us feel really great. And those can be happiness killers. Comparison is a very good thief of joy. It's very easy to see when we're comparing ourselves to the world around us, which in this day and age is very easy to do. We can, with our fingertips, are there in a minute of seeing hundreds and thousands of people all around us. And it's easy to compare our lives to others and feel negatively about that. But let's change that thought. If they can do it, so can I. If they can have that, so can I. It's just an example. It's just evidence of the possibilities of life. And it's a perspective that you can shift. You can shift your perspective on seeing this person do that and feeling envious versus seeing that person do that and feeling like the possibility is there for you as well. And it absolutely is. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. And if you needed to hear that, then I'm giving you the permission to access that part of yourself. What do you have inside of you that is meant to be shared with the world? And in what way? It doesn't have to be too that your creativity has to lead to you sharing that with people. If you don't want to share, then don't. But don't be afraid to be creative and to create that room inside your house that's just yours, where you can go and be creative and you can shut the door if you want to. The world doesn't need to see this. You don't need to be a creator on Instagram. You don't need to put your art out into the world for you to be creative and create it. So that is your choice, just like everything else. And that's where I want to leave you today. And I hope you find the confidence to create the life that you want, to create the painting that you want, to create whatever it is that you want in your life and business. I'm wishing that for you. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Freedom Culture Podcast. It's been my pleasure connecting with you again today. Bye for now. Yes, you just made it to the end of another episode of the Freedom Culture Podcast, and I'm so happy that you did. My goal with each episode is always to offer some type of inspiration for you in your life and business. Thanks for tuning in, and if you found the show helpful or are looking for any of the resources mentioned in this episode, just hop on over to my website at stephsimmons.co and sign up. That way you can get notified when there's new episodes, or you can follow me over on Instagram at stephsimmons.co or at Freedom Culture Podcast. And you will see new episodes posted there as well. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll catch you next time on the Freedom Culture Podcast.